بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد. Mufti Kisab Hafidhullah is mentioning a story about his father, Mufti Shafizab Rahmatullah alayhi, and from here there's quite a few stories regarding his father. So he mentions a story which he takes lesson from his life, but it applies to all of us. We find it in Sahaba's life as well. Is that when we look back in our life, like I'm 40 years old, so we look back when I was 25, when I was 15, when I was 7, the things that we done then, the arguments that we had, the fights that we had, the things that we thought were really important. We look back now, we think, this is silly. The Sahaba radiallahu ta'ala, they look back and they would look back in time of Jahiliyyah, the idols that they would worship and the things that they would, and they realized this is such jahala. So similarly, he's mentioning a story of himself. So obviously, they grew up in, Mufti Shafiz rahmatullah alayhi, he grew up in Deoband. But when Pakistan and India split, then he moved to Karachi, and then from there is when he's founded the Ulum Karachi. So when he was a young boy in Deoband, I don't know what game it was, but like we have marbles. So you put marbles in a circle, and then whoever hits the marbles out, then they win the marbles out. So they had something like similar to that. So he goes that one day he came, and he had a lot of those marbles, those small little things, and he lost a lot of them in the game. So he said that he cried so much that day, and it felt to him that, like, I've gone through such a big musibah as a little child, a big musibah. I've lost my whole investment of marbles. I've lost my whole investment of marbles. And he goes, to me that day felt as if the qiyam was come upon me. What am I going to do? How am I going to recover from this loss of marbles? So you look back and you think, how stupid was I? Small little marbles, or even things less than marbles. Maybe you make things out of mud and clay and all of that. So when you lose those, you think, oh, what have I lost? So the point we learn from this is, when you're going through the present, you can only see, you become narrow vision, tunnel vision. You only see what's right there in front of you. You can't realize, or you can't understand the bigger picture. So for example, right now we're having a discussion, and somebody says something to me, for example, and it seems that he's insulted me a bit. So I can just think, right now he's insulted me, I need to respond. I can't zoom out and think, you know what, that's very insignificant. There's no point burning a bridge because he said something harsh. Did he mean it, not mean it? Is it an insult? Is it really worth responding, not responding? Just leave it. So for you to be a good person, to be successful in life, and to be able to deal with nicely, what you need to do sometimes to recommend is just pause for a while. Anything happens, before you make any significant decision, you're emotional, somebody's angered you, somebody's accused you, somebody's insulted you, somebody said something harsh to you, you felt that you've been dishonored, just don't respond straight away. Just pause for 1-2 seconds and just think through the answer you're going to give. So think through, is it worth giving an answer? Or you just smile it off? And then if you are going to respond, then think very carefully that what response needs to be given and a way to respond. Because at that time, you very often, you overestimate the importance of that. You know, somebody, like a small little conversation, and it goes into a big thing. And really, we look back, it's like, what was that even about? It can lead to friendship broken up. It can lead to relationship between brother and sister, brothers and sisters breaking up, uncles. It can lead to divorce sometimes. Like, was that really a conversation? Was that really something that big? Do you understand? And then we look back afterwards, it's like, I said that, and what did you get out of it? Yeah. So similarly, as we think, there's marbles and a game that we have, that's so important. Many things are conversations. Just think for a little while. That the response that I want to give, the anger that I'm feeling right now, is it really like something, it might feel really bad right now, that I've been embarrassed, I've been humiliated, I've been insulted, I've been cussed. But the response I want to give is going to cause even more harm. So as a habit or practice this. That whenever you see situation, anything, you're dealing with your elders, somebody younger than you, your siblings, your wife, your husband, your teachers, your children, just think for a while that this thing that I'm going to say, is it worth the while? Is it worth the conversation? And sometimes it's worth the conversation, I think, I need to respond to this, but because I'm emotional right now, let me just pause it for a while. That's what Shaykh rahmatullah alayhi used to say, that when you need to discipline children, it's best discipline children, somebody under you, somebody who's under your tarbiyah, your training, and don't do it straight away. Let's say, for example, you done something wrong, and I'm angry right now. So now you need to be disciplined. But because right now I am angry, it is very possible that I pass the boundaries. I over-exaggerate, I overreact. So what he recommends is that make a note of that, and then address it later on, when emotions are gone, so you can actually challenge this issue intellectually. Do you understand? So there's somebody here, what we're saying, that many times when you're in the present, there and then, everything seems that this is very important. I have to react. I must respond. I must retaliate. When you look back 5 years later, 10 years later, 20 years later, it's so insignificant. So when you're going to look back 20 years later and say, I don't even know why we had that fight. We had to punch up, we had to beat up brothers, sisters, little children, friends. So think of it right now that this is not that important. If somebody said this to me, it's not that important. My friendship is more important. Let's say, for example, you might say, okay, somebody, £5, something happened, got lost, mixed up. He was supposed to pay you back, he didn't pay you back. You know what? He's a very, very old friend. And maybe something got lost in accounting. It's not worth £5. But they say, where's my £5 gone? It's £5 less. It's like, okay, you know, it could be lost, it could be mixed up. I'm just saying different examples. So look there and then, is this what I want to make into issue? Is it 10 years down the line, am I going to really think, oh, no, what I done then was right? Or will I think, oh, it wasn't even worth the while? So in the present, you get caught up, tunnel vision, you're so involved in what's the now, that you forget the bigger picture. So when you're making decisions, especially important decisions, when you have serious conversations, when you want to get serious, not in every conversation, what do you want for breakfast? Sit down, let me think for a little while. That's going to make life difficult. Or you like salt with your egg, it's like, let me think for a while. In 10 years' time, will I regret the salt? Not things like that, but a major decision, a major conversation, something that might have repercussions. Think for a while, that is this worth it or not? And don't get caught up in that anger and the emotion there and then. Think about the bigger picture. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us ability to act upon this. Subhanallah wa bihamdihi, subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika, nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk.